Hello you plonkers and welcome back today to another video on the Druzy channel. The trade period is done skis. It was chaotic, hectic, plenty going on. And I sort of didn't want to just chime in the middle because by the time I released the video, the next day there'd be a new piece of news out. So I thought I'd wait until the end of the trade period and give you my winners and losers of the trade period. And here we are. My uploads obviously haven't been as frequent recently. 1, because football season is done. 2, because I'm 2 weeks away from finishing my honours thesis, which is what I do pretty much every single day. And 3 is I'm starting to think of different ideas and whatnot, different ways I can pivot with the channel. But we're here today to talk about the trade period, so let's just bloody get into it. If you like the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. My videos are always brought to you by manscaped.com. They provide the best below-the-belt grooming service. They've just released Platinum Package. It has everything you need in the bathroom. The Lawnmower 4.0, which I've got right here. Look at that, mate. LED light, right on your ball sack. Nice ceramic blade. Look, I'm touching that, and there is no way I'm getting a nick or cut from that. But the Platinum Package also includes deodorant, colognes, a 2-in-1 shampoo, a body wash. It's got it all. It's the one-stop shop for all your bathroom needs. And if you use code DRUZY20 at checkout at manscaped.com using the link in the description, you get free worldwide shipping and 20% off your order. It's a great deal. Thank you to Manscaped. Let's get into the video. So the way this video is going to work, I'm going to go through all the teams, going to look who came in, who went out, and then give them a W or an L if they're a winner or a loser. So we'll start off with Adelaide, who weren't overly active. Their biggest target was obviously Isaac Rankin, who was homesick. The amount of homesickness in this trade period is ridiculous. Grow up. But they obviously received Isaac Rankin. They gave up the 5th pick in this year's draft and a future 3rd and a future 4th. Isaac Rankin, great get. I think he suits the profile well. They only lost Billy Frampton and received a future 3rd round pick as well. Overall, was it a W or an L? I think where Adelaide are as a list, they weren't going to get any massive names in. And I think Isaac Rankin just adds to that building list. So it's not a real big W or a massive L. I'm just going to give it a W because I think they've net improved. Brisbane managed to get Josh Dunkley done in the dying minutes of the deadline. It was looking dicey at the end there. Also got a future 3rd and 4th in that trade with the Bulldogs, so they can chuck that at Jasper Fletcher and Will Ashcroft. Also got Jack Gunson for a future 3rd and future 4th. And they gave away Tom Berry to the Gold Coast for some picks, for those draft picks that they want to acquire this year, obviously. Have they overall improved? Gunston in sort of fills that forward spot that McStay has left. And then adding Josh Dunkley to the midfield makes Brisbane's midfield one of the most stacked in the competition. Lachie Neale, Josh Dunkley, Hugh McCluggage, Bailey running through there. It is absolutely dense. Definitely adds to the premiership chances off the Brisbane Lions next year. I think Jack Gunston will provide a different X factor to that forward line. More midfield depth. Losing Tom Berry, substitute in with Dunkley, and I think they should get the draft picks that they wanted to. I'm going to give this a W for the Brisbane Lions. Now, Carlton gained Blake Acres for a future 3rd round pick. I think that's next year's draft. And then they also just lost Will Setterfield. So they lost to Deadwood and they gained Blake Acres. So net, they did well, although I think they could have been a bit more active. I still think that sort of bottom end of Carlton isn't quite there. They don't really have like a best 22 set in place. There isn't really competition for spots in those bottom sort of 5 players on the list, if you get what I'm saying. That's sort of interchangeable based on VFL form and whatnot. So I think they could have done a little bit more. Although they have a lot of star power in that top half of the list, I just think they could have added more list depth if they are to push into the top 8 next year. And just because I haven't given out an L yet, Carlton are getting an L, although Blake Acres is a great top-up player. Collingwood were busy. They got Bobby Hill for a 3rd round pick and a future 2nd round pick. That's a pretty good deal for little Bobby Hill. Brodie Grundy has left, even though they're still paying a massive portion of his contract. They get Billy Frampton from Adelaide, weird one. They also receive Tom Mitchell, and they lose Ollie Henry to the Cats. So plenty going on. I think Ollie Henry had so much potential to be a great player. So I think that one there in particular is a little bit of an L. But I think Tom Mitchell is a massive get. The ability for him to win the contested ball will just solidify them around the contest more so that they don't have to slingshot their offense from defensive transition. Billy Frampton is just a solid utility. And Dan McStay, I think the free agency hasn't opened up yet or whatever, but he'll be a very solid addition. Overall, 100% a W for Collingwood in this trade period. Now, Essendon, they receive Will Setterfield and a future 4th round pick. They lose Aaron Francis and they get Sam Wiedemann. Now, I'm not massive on this trade period from Essendon. Straight up, I'm going to say it is an L. Sam Wiedemann, as much as he is a great bloke, hasn't really shown a great deal. It's hard to when you're not being played consistently, so maybe he'll get a new lease of life at Essendon being a consistent key forward in that side. But Will Setterfield, is he going to set the world alight at Essendon? Maybe. I don't really think so, though. Don't think anyone really wants to play for Essendon at the moment. And none of these moves make me think that they're going to climb the ladder next year. So it's an L for the Bombers. Now for my Fremantle Dockers, we lose Blake Acres and receive a future 3rd round pick. We lose Griffin Logue and Darcy Tucker. Oh, that Griff one hurts. But you can bugger off anyway. You're a great bloke, not a great footballer. Josh Corbett, pretty much on a free, a future 4th round pick. And we also get Luke Jackson, won that trade, paid massive unders in that one. Roy Lobb gets his wish to go back to Victoria for his missus. Classic. And then out of nowhere, we received Jager O'Meara. Did not see that one coming, and that's in exchange for Lloyd Meek, our backup ruck. I think Jaeger O'Meara just brings some good experience. We've just lost David Mundy. Bringing in O'Meara just provides a little bit more experience for Andy Brayshaw, Sarong, those guys to develop. Luke Jackson, what a great pickup he will be. He's a ruckman, but he's pretty much plays as a mid. He can tackle very well. He's great with the ball below his feet. He can play forward, great contested mark, can take a specky. He's a basketballer that's good at football. That's exactly what he is. I am stoked to have him on Freo's list. Him and Sean Darcy in our ruck, hopefully for the next 10 years. How can you stop that? The guys that we lost, like Darcy Tucker, wasn't really getting a good look in anyway. Griff Logue couldn't knock down a proper position for himself. So, you know, see you later, Griff, as much as I love you. And Blake Acres, like, if you don't want to be here, you can bugger off, even though we sort of lowballed him. Our forward line is our weakest line, so adding Josh Corbett just strengthens that, which is what we need. I think it's overall a W for the Dockers in this trade period. Now, Geelong is just straight up the biggest W you could ever get. To get Jack Bowes and pick 7 in this year's draft for literally nothing is ridiculous. They've got Tanner Bruin in and Ollie Henry. So they've got 4 first-round selections after winning the premiership. It's a no-brainer. This has been a massive win in the trade period for Geelong. Success breeds a culture that players want to play for, and it sort of rigs the integrity of the draft system when you can just get 4 first-round players after winning the premiership, but it is what it is. Geelong have done very well. They've lost Cooper Stevens, who my Poppy, a Geelong fan, rated very highly, so that is a bit of a L to let him go, but they had to do that to make way for Ollie Henry, who is a great player. Gold Coast get Tom Berry and Ben Long in. They lose Josh Corbett, who wasn't really getting a game. Bowers, who wasn't getting a game. But I just think overall it's such an L to give away a past first round pick and pick 7 in this year's draft. I think that they pretty much just farted this trade period away. Although Tom Berry is a good player and Ben Long, you know, he's serviceable. I think that Geelong trade was just such an L. So Gold Coast, L. Another trade period, another exodus for GWS, losing Bobby Hill, Tanner Bruin, Jacob Hopper, and Tim Taranto. Jesus Christ, that is so much talent leaving the club. But it's all right. You got Toby Bedford and the first pick of the draft, who will probably go back to Victoria in 3 years anyway. I can't give GWS a W after losing the talent that I just mentioned. That is ridiculous. They need to retain more players. They need to draft players that actually want to play in Greater Western Sydney. It's going to be an L for the Giants. Hawthorn receive Cooper Stevens, Lloyd Meek. They lose Tom Mitchell and Jaeger O'Meara. Well and truly going for the youth now to get rid of Jaeger O'Meara and Tom Mitchell, 2 real top quality players, just shows you that Hawthorn are building for the future now. They lose Jack Gunston. Overall, they've lost more quality than they have gained in the short term. So I'm going to give Hawthorn an L because they've lost more quality than they have gained. That's fair. I understand what they're going for. I forgot they got Carl Amon, but still, I am sticking with my word. That is an L. The Melbourne Demons, they lose Toby Bedford Yeah, they're not going to be too worried about that. Luke Jackson, that is a big loss, but they've replaced that with Brodie Grundy, one of the best ruckmen in the comp. So that's sort of like I suppose a like for like. It's not really, but you get what I mean. They lose Sam Wiedemann, who couldn't get a game. Josh Shackey, they've gained today, and Lockie Hunter, 2 Bulldogs joining the Ds. Overall, did they improve from this? I feel like competitions for spots at Melbourne is the most difficult club to get a game for. Like, how do Lockie Hunter and Josh Shackey get a game in this side? We saw it last year with Luke Dunstan. He'll get 20 touches or more a game, but I don't think he featured more than 5 times for the Ds last year. They lose Jackson, get Grundy. Did not get the value for Luke Jackson. They just had to get him off the books because he wanted to come back to WA. So that is an L. I'm sort of on the fringe with this one because I don't think the starting 22 next year really changes except for Grundy coming in for Jackson. Could I give it like a WL? That's like a L, W. I'm just going to have to say an L. Melbourne, you lost Luke Jackson. It's an L. North Melbourne received Griffin Logue and Darcy Tucker, 2 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 at best players. They lose Jason Horne-Francis. That was a nuts mega trade that went down. They get pick 2 and 3 in the draft. I think overall, even though they've lost Jason Horne-Francis, he's just a spoiled kid. Just, get back to Adelaide, whatever. To get pick 2 and 3 is massive. Like, that is like your Brayshaw Chera, even though Chera left. Your Brayshaw Sarong, if you will, that will set up North Melbourne for sustained success in the future. And I think Griff Logue is a great piece. Darcy Tucker is serviceable. I reckon overall it's a step in the right direction for North Melbourne, so I'm going to give them a W. Port Adelaide have gone balls to the wall in this trade period. They've gone, we want success now. Ken Hinkley, this is your last chance. Junior Rioli, absolute gun. Very underrated player over east. Like, I live in Perth, so I know how good Junior Rioli is. Absolute gun. Jason Horne-Francis in. Bang. Lose Cole Amon. Didn't get the Sav deal done, but I think overall to gain Jason Horne-Francis, who's touted to be the next Patrick Dangerfield, and Willie Rioli, I reckon they have strengthened in a big way. They lost a first round pick for it, but you got to do what you got to do when talent like this emerges. I reckon Port Adelaide get a dub overall. Richmond, straight up, W. To get Taranto and Hopper makes Richmond's midfield very stacked once again. A very competitive inside game. They've sort of had like a mini rebuild, like a reshuffle in the last couple years anyway. So I don't think that losing those picks is a massive L, especially with guys like Hopper and Taranto still really in the early stages of their prime years. I reckon these trades put Richmond back in the top 6 picture. I think this is a massive win for the Tigers. Did St Kilda get anyone? L. Sydney gained Aaron Francis. Is that it? To be fair, did they need anything else? It's not a win. You can't say getting Aaron Francis is a win. It's an L. It's an L for Sydney. Need more business. And West Coast pretty much just lost Junior Rioli and topped up with some first round picks. Obviously in that rebuild phase. I reckon that's a step in the right direction for West Coast. So I'm going to give them a W. I forgot to talk about the Bulldogs, so I'll put it in summary. They got Rory Lobb from the Dockers, that's pretty good, but they lost Josh Dunkley. That was a bit of an L because that was their best and fairest and that. Lockie Hunter joins Melbourne. His best days are probably past him. Josh Shackey can't kick the ball straight. Zane Cordy becomes a Saint. Liam Jones, good pickup. Shout out to that man for getting back into the AFL system. Losing Josh Dunkley's a bit of an L. God, I don't know. Let's give him a W. I don't know. And there we go. There are my winners and losers of the 2022 AFL trade period. I probably forgot some players, but I did my best. Let me know what you think of your team's trade period down in the comments below. And make sure before you click off the video that you leave a like. And I'll see you in the next video. 2 weeks left and I'm finished uni forever. No more education, just YouTube. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.